monitoring done in the Bayou Corn area at the street level. Sage technicians have used handheld vapor analyzers to take readings, basically walking between houses in each residence and inside the evacuation area. Again, these monitors measure trace concentrations of VOCs and methane in the air at the part per million level. The initial monitoring right after the sinkhole occurred was being done twice weekly. The frequency was reduced to twice monthly due to levels being below detection limits 100% of the time. Thus far, we've conducted 15 sessions since August 26th, and our next session is scheduled for tomorrow. So that is an ongoing presence. You'll see those people in the community. And then the last air monitoring that's underway is the indoor LEL monitoring. To date, based upon the information that we've received from DEQ, they've completed approximately 50 indoor air monitoring inspections and have never seen any LEL levels found in any of the homes. According to our census, there's 81 slab-on-grade homes in the Bayou Corn community. We originally had 45 access agreements signed, allowing us to come in to survey, inspect the home to determine where we would put continuous indoor LEL monitors, and to actually do handheld monitoring with an LEL monitoring device. But 7 of those homeowners or those residents basically retracted their access agreement. So as of today, we only have 38 access agreements out of the 81 homes that we're required to put in continuous monitors. The home assessments are necessary to plan for the installation of these continuous LEL monitors, the home monitoring devices. These monitors that we're planning on installing will have audible alarms in the home and automatically notify 911 dispatch through Assumption Parish OEP if an elevated LE level is detected. It'll also be programmed to contact the homeowner, the resident's cell phone. But these homeowner access agreements are vital to the success of this residential monitoring effort. The bottom line is if we can't get access agreements, there won't be any continuous LEL monitors put in those homes. I have to have access agreement to have the right to go in someone's home and put a monitor in. So if anybody here wants to get signed up or hasn't and would like to, I've got access agreements with me. I'll be happy to give them. We'll stick around, or you can send them in or drop them off to Charlie Bilby with Worley when he issues the evacuation assistance checks. So that's been a real challenge in trying to move ahead. But honestly, the big part is in designing this system that it has to have a robust communication system, wireless system, and reliable. We need to clearly understand how many devices we're going to be installing and what the system requirements will be, and that's the reason for the in-home assessments. From a water standpoint, DEQ water sampling and water quality monitoring of the Bayou Corn and the Grand Bayou waterways indicate no pollution associated with the incident to date. DEQ water quality monitoring of the Bayou Lafourche indicates that no water pollution associated with the incident to date. Texas Brine has been monitoring the surface water and the groundwater since August 4th, the day after the incident occurred. The surface water and groundwater field tests are conducted twice weekly since August, and there we're looking for pH, TDS, total dissolved solids. We run an ORP probe, oxidation reduction potential. We look for temperature. Those are all field measurements done on both the surface water and the groundwater in about 30 to 35 monitoring spots. The surface water, the sinkhole, and groundwater samples taken from our water wells are taken twice monthly, analyzed for chlorides and a whole host of other constituents, including hydrocarbons and organic compounds. And I think total, the best estimate goes, we probably have somewhere in excess of 1,000 samples to date. Thus far, there have been no indications of adverse water quality impact to the area surface water or the groundwater outside the sinkhole. So we're continuing to monitor that, and we'll continue to do so, just in order to make sure that we understand and can monitor the impact or lack of impact from the sinkhole. The last area of monitoring that's going on that there's been a lot of work on is in the seismic area. Seismic analysis continues in collaboration with government, university, and industry specialists. USGS reports reduced seismic activity in the vicinity, an average of about 1 tremor per day. I think we all know of Dr. Stephen Horton. My understanding, he reports the recent seismic activity does not suggest a heightened level of risk at this time. We are working on additional data collection and analysis for the western end of the Napoleonville Salt Dome and our other operations to develop an improved image of the collapse zone that affected cavern number 3 from the surface to the base of this cavern. USGS has notified DNR that it's redeploying its seismic equipment at the end of January. However, TBC, Texas Brine, is committed to replacing these assets that USGS is withdrawing with equipment that has the same or better capability with no lapse in data capture. There's a test planned in the month of January where our system will be up and running, USGS system will still be there, and they'll be able to do a side-by-side test to verify that, and to get some additional needed geotechnical data for this seismic analysis. As part of this seismic monitoring effort, Texas Brine has drilled a geophone well directly over cavern number 3 at a depth of about 480 foot. We've installed a temporary geophone in this well to help determine the type of seismic events and to allow us to design a permanent geophone array that will go in that well long term. We are in the process and have reprocessed part of a very large 3D seismic study that was done on the Napoleonville Dome to try to find the source of the gas in the hydrocarbon zones. And then lastly, we've assembled one of the top seismic team in the world, utilizing people throughout the U.S. but also overseas and in Europe, to look at both passive, or that's what they call microseismic, and active seismic mapping in terms of 3D seismic and VSP, otherwise known as vertical seismic profile. It's another way to actually define the edge of the salt. So that's the efforts that are underway from a seismic standpoint. I think in closing, I just want to reassure of our continuing commitment to the Grand Bayou and the Bayou Corn community. We've been on the Napoleonville Dome for over 40 years, in some capacity operating on that dome. The responsibilities that Texas Brine has to the Bayou Corn community are taken very seriously at the highest level in our organization, including our owners. We have worked to mitigate the sinkhole and do everything we can to comply with all orders. Texas Brine is committing to redoubling our efforts to work with the parish through the Unified Command. We have to work together to solve this problem. TBC is committed to working with DNR and the parish to reach a scientific consensus on what additional mitigation and monitoring activities will be required to bring this incident to a safe resolution. We're not there yet. I'll be the first to admit that, but that's where we're going. So that's our commitment. And that concludes my comments.
I have a couple of questions for Mr. Martin, then we'll go ahead with the next presentation. This gentleman.
Yes, I was wondering what is the plan for how you intend to resolve this problem?
I'll repeat it.
How do we intend to resolve this problem that's going on now? Do y'all have plans on how it's going to be resolved?
The question is, what are the actual plans to resolve this?
Well, I think there's 3 sources of concern. Obviously, one is the sinkhole. Our goal is to try to put a containment system around that sinkhole to make sure that it has no effect long-term in any of the area around it. The next is the gas that's in the aquifer. The plan is to bin it, relieve it, and get it out of the aquifer. Part of what we have to do that is to better define where this gas is and isn't. And then the last is what happened to the cavern number 3. And that's where the seismic work will go on. So those are the 3 focus areas.
You say the collapse of that cavern would cause the gas to come out all over?
That's the theory. The theory is that the sidewall collapse of the number 3 cavern at somewhere between 4,000 and 5,500 foot deep caused something to happen on the outside of the salt dome, thus liberating gas, natural gas, and hydrocarbons.
Dick?
It would be nice if when you begin to talk about your wells and stuff, can you name your wells? You know, when you talk about observation wells, and you know, I understand that it's Oxy 3A. Is that correct?
Let me go through the numbers, and that'll help clarify.
Well, instead of going through the numbers, can you give John a list of all the wells by their names and numbers, and he can put it on the blog, and then we can all reference it from there.
Sure, that's no problem.
See where the which one got
When you do that, can you also give us some information about those wells, like the depth of them, and what level did you hit gas, and what was the PSI on it? When you got the aquifer, how far was the aquifer? And did you find gas or anything there, crude oil, that type of stuff?
We can prepare that information.
Okay. Let's talk about the geoprobes. I've got a geoprobe at my house, and the gauges have been removed. So the question is what is your frequency of reading those geoprobes, and can you give us information on each one of those in the community as to the depth they've been pushed, what's the zone, the gas zone, if there was one found there, what was the PSI on it, and give us continued updates on readings, whether you do readings daily, weekly, whatever they are.
Let me talk about the geoprobe wells a little bit. First of all, the 6 that we've just recently installed, I think this week was the first week they've all been installed. We've got them commissioned and actually do the monitoring on them. Test, take the pressure, take the static water level in those. So we're just gathering data right now. We'll work with DNR and Shaw to get the information on those wells so that it's out there for you guys to see. There's nothing to hide on that because I know there's data. But we just haven't, just having gotten those installed, we've just taken the first round of data. I haven't even seen the results of that monitoring done this time, but we'll get that out to you.
Okay,